wide base, the narrow top gives the ability to stand up against the wind that we experience in the city with great ease. The building's exterior is blue glass and stainless steel, but it covers a reinforced concrete skeleton, making this the heaviest building in the city. Just remember, Trump Tower is our second tallest. We'll be in great shape. We're going to stay on the right for our next building, black rectangle. We'll see it again in a second. This is the former IBM Tower, done in 1971 by Mies van der Rohe and C.F. Murphy and Associates. This is a wonderful example of the modern style. The modern style was popular from right after World War II until the late 1970s, and as you can see, the style is pretty simple and straightforward. Buildings in the modern style tend to feature dark exterior colors, right-angle corners, large windows, and open interior floor plans. But at 52 stories, this building is one of the best examples of Mies van der Rohe's personal design philosophy. Less is more. He believed the more simple, the more straightforward a design, whether it was for a building or a piece of furniture, the higher quality of the work. Next up on the right, you'll see two of the most recognizable buildings in Chicago. These two big corn cobs, they make up Marina City. The towers each stand at 60 stories, opening in 1964 and 67, and the architect of Marina City, Bertrand Goldberg, believed that art and nature should be as one. So with few right angles in nature, he felt very few exist in contemporary architecture, thus these two big cylinders. Each building has a circular floor plan and central elevator core. The units in Marina City start narrow towards the center of the floor and get wider as you work out towards the exterior. If you're wondering what it's like to live in this wedge or pie piece shaped unit, let's move in. We'll sign a lease for a studio unit that gives us 500 square feet of living space, 180 square feet of a semicircular balcony. As we open the door to our new home, the entryway is 4 feet wide, and there's a hallway that runs alongside for the entire length of the unit. As we walk down this hallway, we go past the bathroom, past the walk-in closet, past the kitchen, into a living space. That is where the unit becomes its widest at 18 feet. From there, you open the door, step out onto the balcony, and enjoy a 180-degree view of downtown. But let's go just to the right. You'll see this green glass building. This is 321 North Clark Street, one in 1987. 35 stories of office space by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. And the building has one exterior detail, those beams running from top to bottom. They are called mullions. They draw our eyes upward from the lobby, leading our eyes to the roof. It visually stretches the building. Many of us know if we're wearing vertical stripes. Biggest giveaway for the Art Deco style in Chicago is limestone. Limestone is the soft beige stone throughout the exterior. It was just very plentiful in the Plain States, so in the 1920s, when we were excited about building, we used what was available. Another great giveaway to the Art Deco style is the use of geometric shapes. We have several. Notice on the right that heavy rectangular border around the building's main entryway. Then at each side of the entryway, there's an octagon with that double M design that represents the building's title, Merchandise Mart. We also have all of these gold diamonds. They line the base as well as the top of the building. There's a series of green squares between each window on each floor. And the building is also topped by a series of 7 octagonal pyramids. We can't see those because we're right underneath the building. The Merchandise Mart, if you didn't notice already, is on the big side of things. It contains 4.25 million square feet of interior space. And if you'd like to truly understand this building's size, look carefully behind us and on the right. As we clear this bridge, you'll see how far in it goes from the edge of the river. The Merchandise Mart sits on 2 city blocks worth of area, features over 5 miles of interior corridor. Until July 1st of 2008, it even had its own zip code, which was 60654. Here we move to the next building on our left with the angled roof, and these are the Chicago River Cottages. There are 4 of them in the building, set up like townhomes next to one another. And in just a moment, we'll see one of the most interesting details on this building. It will involve looking behind us, though. If you can get yourself up to set yourself set up. There we go. To look behind us ever so slightly and check out the building from the north side. Here we go. We're going to pay attention to the silhouette. Silhouette's a fancy word for shape. And from here, you'll notice the building creates a right-angled triangle as it reaches the ground. That triangle line was done to follow the lines that sailboat sails make when they are fully raised, but it does allow for eastern exposure and better natural sunlight. The truss concealing train tracks. Live trains run underneath all of the buildings on our right-hand side as we continue to head south and until we take our first break this afternoon. All of these buildings are done over what's called railroad air rights, and simply put, it means railroad companies are legally allowed to lease or sell the air above them to anyone who feels like putting up a building. You purchase or lease this air rights air based on the intended volume of your structure, so by the cubic foot, and the higher or the bigger you plan to go, the more expensive it gets. And as we clear the bridge, one more train left to free. Everyone loves the silhouette and shape of this building. It is only 40 feet wide where it emerges from the ground. It angles out very quickly to 120 feet at the 7th floor. It maintains that width all the way up. And if a building with a narrow base and a wide top makes you uneasy, take a nice big sigh of relief. The building will stay upright. The upright stance is all thanks to a damper, a big tank of water that takes up the building's entire top floor, which brings up the trains themselves, bring commuters into and out of the city. We have people traveling from one coast to the other via rail. We have all of our goods moving into and out of the city via rail. But this space, since it is right next to the river and just next to downtown, has to be utilized to its full potential. So we put these buildings right on top. We have 10 South Riverside, done in 1965. It's duplicate 120 South Riverside, done in 1968. And these two buildings are soundproof, even at lobby level. So the train noise that occurs as the locomotives move underneath is not even on your radar once you're inside. The two buildings also feature specialized HVAC systems to collect diesel fume exhaust from the trains. The diesel fume exhaust is drawn through the building and then released on the roof. You walk by during the busiest of rush hours, and diesel fume exhaust will ruin your commute. Let's look ahead of us. You'll see that white building with the black windows, and this is 222 South Riverside Plaza. The reflective quality of the glass shows off the older buildings nearby, but the bubble in the glass and the building's curve allow the reflection to warp, skew, and change even as we view it, so it's being updated even as we pass by. When you're all done with 300 South, we have our former post office coming up on the right. Done for the first time in 1932 by Graham, Anderson, Probst, and White, it is Art Deco. We've got our limestone exterior. You can see the footprint here. As we clear the bridge, you'll notice that big rectangular cutout along the top. That's a giant setback. And the building features several geometric shapes to its exterior. Notice the square windows across the top, the circles beneath the setback. My favorite geometric design, though, is the diamond tile detail. Beneath the setback, we have these big dark windows. Go from one dark window down to the next dark window. You'll see the diamond tile along the way. The old post office was used exclusively as a post office from its opening date in 1932 until 1996, at which point it was vacated for a more up-to-date facility that we'll see shortly. The building sat alone. It was empty until August of 2009, when the city put it up for government auction. And the starting bid for the old post office is only $300,000. It is the tallest in the city at 1,450 feet tall, 110 stories, and 442 meters. That height is to the highest occupiable floor. If you want to include the two antenna, then it's 1,730 feet, 527 meters. Here we go straight to the right for the second great view, and this one's going to get you from the glass lobby along Wacker Drive all the way up to the top in one movement. Here we go. The Willis Tower contains over 100 elevators, features over 16,000 windows on its exterior, and my favorite fact about it is that it's not truly upright. The Willis Tower leans 6 inches to the west on its top floor, and that's just a result of the building's asymmetrical design. It's a Roman U meant to highlight other Roman details in the design. If you're struggling for Roman details, just look up. You'll see those olive leaf swags above the circles from the glass, or look ahead of us to that short little pyramid that's kind of smushed. That short smushed triangle is called a pediment, and there are several of them on the exterior. Overall, though, the building's classified as Art Deco. We've got that limestone, that great big setback, and we're about to take a nice big step into the present with our next building. It opened just last year. This is 110 North Wacker Drive. Standing at over 800 feet, it's a new project by Getch Partners, and that's the same firm that gave us 150 North Riverside with the V-shaped bottom that we saw earlier. As you take in this new building, I would like to paint a picture of what stood here just a few years ago. This site was originally home to a 6-story building done in 1958. If you'd like to picture 6 stories, notice these 3-pronged supports. Go from the top of the 3 prongs down to the river. That's 6 stories. And that 6-story building was quite petite compared to what we have right now, but it was torn down not because there was something wrong with the building or because of its age, but because of the site where it was standing. This spot in the city's layout had gone up so much in value since 1958, it made more financial sense to tear down a perfectly good but small building to make way for something newer, taller, and more efficient on the same site. Our next building is short, but it'll be staying with us. This brick building with the ivy is the Great Lakes Building, done in 1912 by Hullibert and Roche, and it's a great example of the Chicago style. The Chicago style emerged in the 1880s and is the result of the building codes that immediately followed the Great Chicago Fire, so we could avoid having a second one. Chicago-style buildings feature steel skeleton frames, fireproof exteriors, and those big 3-paneled windows. They are formally called Chicago windows. The Chicago window features a stagnant center panel and mobile side panels to create a strong vacuum action. Open up the 2 side panels on your Chicago window, even on the calmest of days. Exterior air is naturally funneled in, interior air naturally flushed out, creating a nice strong breeze in your home or office. But as we round this bend, our next building is the green one with the curve. This is 333 West Wacker Drive. It opened in 1983. It's said to be the city's very first postmodern skyscraper. We have our next train just approaching if anyone's still interested. The best part about 333, though, is the building's next door. That blue glass one with the white Cuban steel X is 191 North Wacker Drive. It opened in 2002. On the other side, the tan building with the silver windows and the ribbon detail between the window panes. This is 225 West Wacker Drive, done in 1989. The 3 buildings were done by the same architecture firm, Cohen Patterson Fox, and even though they were done at different times, notice how these 3 buildings stand together. They all ended around the same height. They feature mirrored glass exteriors, granted different color but same size panel. They have green marble along the base, so as you walk by at sidewalk level, it feels more like one big building than 3 separate smaller ones. You might drop to eye level and notice this metal piece coming up. This is called an eyelash. It's part of our new river walk done by Carol Ross-Marnie. The eyelash stops debris from the bridge, falling down onto the river walk, and of course stops people from making the adventuresome but dangerous choice to climb into the bridge. As we continue moving along the river walk, notice this black panel. It has that gray frame around it. That panel is concealing projection lights because Chicago is currently home to the largest digital art installation on the planet called Art on the Mark. It starts every evening at 9 o'clock. It showcases movies, music videos, and other pieces of digital art. We use 3D mapping and projection lights to show them on the merchandise mart. We use it as our backdrop. The current series showcases the Obama portraits, which are on display at the Art Institute, and also some of the work of Frida Kahlo throughout her lifetime. The show is completely free. It's choreographed to music as well, and the best place to watch is the River Walk. The River Walk section next to us with all of this greenery is meant to remind us of the Everglades of Southern California. The next section with all of these fountains is there to remind us of the desert oasis. And my favorite section of River Walk will follow the big staircase meant to remind us of the seaside cliff. But our next building is already in view and has the white spire at the very top of it, and that is the LaSalle Wacker Building. Done in 1930. It's in the Art Deco style. We've got our limestone exterior and our great big setback in full view. We're doing some maintenance on the building's second platform. Just a few stories up. And our next building is much newer with that blue glass exterior and those extra sharp corners. This is 111 West Wacker Drive. It opened in 2014. It's 630 feet.